welcome to the ID Talk podcast. My name is Peter Cantor and I am the editor-in-chief of FindBiometrics and Mobile ID World, where we are celebrating our fall special event, Digital Transformation in the Enterprise. Presented in association with our premier converged security partner, ISC West, Digital Transformation in the Enterprise saw us exploring one of the most influential trends in biometrics through featured articles, product launches, and expert interviews. That's why I am pleased to welcome BioConnect Chairman and CEO Rob Douglas back to the podcast, along with BioConnect CTO and CISO Courtney Gibson. Our conversation begins on the topic of the BioConnect Cares initiative that was started at the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic, and then delves right into the company's major access control innovation, Mobile Wellness Declaration. Our discussion shifts to the various technologies helping businesses stay safe and secure in 2020, before ending on the importance of collaboration in the identity and access management industries. It's an in-depth conversation with two leading minds in our industry, so without further ado, I am excited to present BioConnect's Rob Douglas and Courtney Gibson right here on ID Talk. I'm joined today by BioConnect's CEO and Chairman Rob Douglas and BioConnect's CTO and CISO Courtney Gibson. Gentlemen, welcome back to ID Talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter.
So I want to start with some conversation about the BioConnect Cares initiative. At the beginning of the pandemic, you launched BioConnect Cares. Nearly 6 months later, how has this program stacked up to your initial expectations?
Well, thank you, Peter. I think the origins of this, of course, were the beginning of the pandemic, when we did our own internal soul searching to say, what is it about what we do that we can offer to the world to help deal with the second wave of the spread of COVID, was our original thinking. And that led to our wellness declaration solution that we've brought to market. And what we've learned about it is that, in fact, yesterday we just did a press release of one of our customers that is in production with it. What we've learned is there's a lot of people out there who are, preparing wellness surveys, but they're not connected to the decision about whether I'm going to let you into a building or not. And so what's unique about the BioConnect solution is it is actually your virtual security guard. If you don't use BioConnect, what people are doing is they're hiring security guards to stand at the choke points of their building in order to have people read a sign of whether they're well or not. And then this guard is doing a visual confirmation of whether, in fact, this person is going to be permitted to enter a facility. This is costing them a lot of money. I can think of a customer we have right now that has hired 5 security guards just to manage one choke point. So they're in for about $500,000 a year in unplanned expenses just to manage this visual authentication of the person. So you can do that. And then the next logical step is, well, I can't afford this. I need to automate this authentication. And that's where BioConnect really fits in beautifully, because we've got the digital authentication survey done on a mobile device that can be done at your house or can be done on your way to the office. And it's directly connected into the decision about whether we're going to unlock the door. So if you fail the declaration of your wellness that day, the access to the facility is not going to let you in. And that's the beautiful part, I guess, of how we can contribute, is because we're integrated into 80% of the top access control systems worldwide. It actually was quite easy for us to be able to bring this authentication layer to wellness and physical security. So we think of it as a COVID security solution.
Mm-hmm. And Courtney, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I think as we've brought it out, we've discovered a lot of BioConnect's background is in physical access control and compliance for our customers that need higher security for their enterprises. And we focused a lot on who are you as you've been arriving at entry points and doors, and this layering on of how are you has been a real learning opportunity to see how how our solution is able to solve some of the needs our customers have. I think some of the lessons that we've learned as we've rolled this out has really been around how these compliance elements and how these security elements can fit in well to this new environment our customers are working in. We've connected with folks who had started with surveys, but that didn't really give the security and the auditability that they needed. As Rob said, we've found people who've had signs at the door, but that doesn't scale. Being able to come in and really provide a level of assurance and around identity, around compliance, has really helped our customers meet their requirements to reopen safely.
We've talked about BioConnect Cares. We talked about these lessons that you've learned, and we've talked about some of the needs that the mobile wellness declaration solution meets for those implementing it. Obviously, there are very obvious, direct bottom line benefits to implementing it. I'm wondering, however, what is the specific user experience of wellness declaration? Users are under all sorts of stress right now, just being out in the world. I wonder if you could speak a little bit about how they're using it.
Yes, be happy to. And I'll give you two use case examples. So the first one is, I've got up in the morning, I have had my cup of coffee, I've showered, I'm getting ready to go to the office, and I can just click on the app and complete my wellness declaration from the comforts of my own home. And then when I get to the office, I present my plastic card, which I'm used to doing, my card to the door, and the door unlocks, because I've in essence completed the wellness part of the declaration in the comfort of my own home. And when I get to the office, I just keep presenting the card like I'm always used to doing in order to get access to the facility. The other use case is I don't do that at all. I actually just go to the office and I present the card at the card reader, and I receive a push to my phone that has the declaration, and I read the information. I hit the yes, I declare I'm positive or negative on all the questions that are being asked. And then BioConnect, the application, says, I recognize the card, I recognize the declaration being approved, go ahead and unlock the door. So that's the use case. So you can do it from the comfort of your home, or you can do it when you get to the office, or anywhere in between.
Yeah, I think that sort of flexibility and the thought that you've put into the user experience there is really elegant, and it's just a fantastic way to make people feel comfortable in this difficult time. So, amazing.
There, actually, Peter, if I could just add another comment to it, there's another part to the user experience. So that's for the user. Then there's what about the compliance officer, or the person in charge of physical security, or the person in charge of HR, or people. Well, if somebody fails the compliance declaration, then immediately we issue an alert through email, through Slack, or through Teams in Microsoft 365 to anyone who needs to know that somebody has failed or is potentially at risk of bringing COVID to the office. So there's a very quick and real time, through very common communication tools that people are using in their enterprises today to get the information out so people can take action.
Organizations need to look at security from a holistic standpoint. There should not be sharp divisions between digital and physical security measures. Both need to work together to protect valuable data and infrastructure from being exposed. The future of physical security is here. BioConnect brings two-factor mobile authentication to physical spaces, including doors, data centers, network closets, and data rooms. Users simply walk up, tap their access card, complete a step-up authentication on their mobile device, and gain access. The low-cost, retrofit solution can be installed in under 30 minutes and works on a smart, rules-based policy to help organizations meet privacy, security, and compliance policies and regulations. Keep your organization and its facilities secure. To learn more, visit bioconnect.com/unified/find-biometrics. And now, back to the podcast. To dive a little bit deeper on this mobile wellness declaration solution, it was chosen by the Digital Technology Supercluster in Canada over the summer. And I'm wondering, what role is this technology playing on that large-scale collaboration?
So the the technology supercluster awarded BioConnect a grant back a couple of months ago to help us continue to invest and scale out the R&D associated with everything wellness. It was a very positive indication coming from the government of Canada to invest in BioConnect specifically around wellness. And there are actually other elements in the roadmap, which we can talk about here in a moment, that are expanding the wellness capability for any organization. And so that was really an important moment. And the second moment I just would like to draw attention to is right around the same time, we also received recognition from CIA, which is the security, really the security body association that each year recognizes the top technologies and innovations in security. And BioConnect was recognized, this particular solution was recognized as the top emerging technology of 2020. And so we're also getting security industry endorsement and recognition as well for what we're doing around bringing wellness security to organizations and their facilities.
And that's further exemplified by your very recently announced deployment at Mars in Toronto. And I'm wondering if either of you could speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'll make a comment, and Courtney, feel free to jump in as well, is that what this is the Mars is what this really is this is the technology ecosystem of the third largest city in North America. So Toronto is a very large community of people and technology, and Mars is the epicenter of innovation, and it transcends across every element of technology. And so it was quite rewarding also for them to endorse and deploy and now publicly release the fact that they're using our wellness declaration for access for their third-party contractors into their facilities.
I think the amount of collaboration that initiatives like the supercluster have been driving are fantastic. It's always the case with technology that collaboration builds far stronger solutions than just integration. When you're able to work with partners together to build a common solution in a common direction, rather than just sort of shopping the world for the right parts to put together, there's always something that's more capable, more flexible, and stronger. And these opportunities to work in collaboration with technology partners have been invaluable for us in the past and continue to be. And the support from Supercluster, from Mars, and from NSERC and from others, from CIA, has been fantastic in terms of helping build that forward and quite honestly, just build better solutions for our customers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, it just makes sense to focus on what you do best and then through partnerships build something better, especially in a time like this where we're all in this together and we need to work together for something like this. Beyond wellness declaration, I'm wondering what are some other ways that next generation access control can help keep people safe as businesses reopen during the pandemic?
Another use case that we've uncovered is this wellness declaration has been built where it can actually handle any compliance requirement and tie it to authentication of a user. And this actually could turn out to be quite significant. So an example would be we were interacting, communicating and collaborating with a very large, probably a Fortune 20 company a couple weeks ago. And the reason why they're interested in deploying our solution in their own facilities is that they want to use our wellness declaration and repurpose it for doing compliance and consent of using biometric information. You see, across the U.S., this is, I think, a lot has to do with what's come out of China, where you've got video surveillance that's got people really concerned about the Big Brother is watching biometrics and biometric information, and you've got states in the U.S. where they're really putting rules around how one can use biometric information. And so from this particular customer, their interest is if I could get all my employees, which in their case is measured in tens of thousands, to provide me consent on some continued basis that I'm authorized to be able to use their biometric information for access control, then this solves a compliance requirement they have. And this actually would be a very elegant way and simple way for them to have auditability and control that they do actually have the user's compliance to use their information. It takes us actually and broadens it from just wellness, also including privacy.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the general phrase that we throw around, privacy hygiene and whatnot. And I really do think that there is quite a bit of overlap, and it's not just allegorical here. Courtney, I'd be interested in what you have to add to this as well. What other next generation access control solutions are keeping businesses safe as they reopen during the pandemic?
No, that's a great question. And I think there's really two elements of safety that we can, well, three elements of safety. We talked about privacy, but I think when it comes to COVID safety in particular, there's really two goals I think that businesses have. They need to understand individually who is getting into those places and is that safe. We've talked about the wellness survey. Our systems also integrate with a number of the emerging technologies that are coming out, whether it's thermal cameras that can add a layer of additional check to ensure that people are healthy coming in. We've been looking at one of our partners has facial recognition that's being adapted to support people that are wearing masks to be able to both recognize them and enforce mask policies in workplaces. So there's a number of emerging technologies that are making sure that on an individual level, safety is there for businesses as they reopen. And as we've explored bringing this to market, we're having conversations with an increasing number of customers that are concerned about the next layer, which is making sure that on a macro level, the environments as a whole are safe. And that really speaks to the ability to freely get data out of these access control systems and look at questions around flow in your buildings, occupancy numbers, and it addresses everything from the safety of, do I have the right level of capacity inside spaces, all the way through to understanding load and demand and how use is changing in facilities. We're entering an uncharted territory where many people are working from home, coming in periodically, shifting hours to adapt to transit loads, and understanding how that impacts your building, its capacity, its throughput, and your services that you're offering. There's a real role for data to play in that second layer as well. So I think there's technology to address the individuals, and there's also technology changes that will help address the whole environment need as well.
Mm-hmm. It seems like businesses are rushing to catch up with the wave of digital transformation. They're scrambling to add contactless access control, converged security, and to me, it really seems like this runs the risk of running afoul of privacy regulations. Rob, you already talked about consent, the role that consent plays. And Courtney, when you were talking about that second layer of data communications, I'm just wondering, what should enterprises look for when they're trying to upgrade their identity and access systems and remaining compliant when, as you said, Courtney, there are people who are working from home for the first time while there are people shifting their hours around?
I think the most important thing I can offer to the listeners is don't pick an individual solution. Don't do it. It's like you're trying to bet on technology. Which one's going to be the winner? It's highly likely that we'll all not pick the winner. And so therefore, the best strategy, I think, for anything to deal with the authentication layer in physical access is find a platform. Because what you're looking for is a platform that can make you agnostic to the changes in technologies around authentications and gives you the flexibility to use different types of authentications based on the threats that you're experiencing. An example that I would give to that is in the digital world, we can change authentication technologies overnight. In the physical world, when you pick an authentication for a particular door, you're generally going to live with that for the next 6 to 10 years. And I think we're now past that. The world is moving too quickly, and threats are changing too quickly. We've got to get to a point where you can actually have greater control over changing the authentication types and level of security you want at a given door on a much more dynamic basis. And platforms will allow you the ability to do that. Point-to-point integrations will mean you will get stuck with your chosen technology and have to live with it well beyond its useful life.
I feel like that really does fit into the flexibility that we've been talking about through this, and it also does cater to a variety of user experiences as well. Courtney, do you have any other notes on keeping things compliant for new implementers?
To really address that well, you need to look at where information is flowing, and it's something that really is at the core of how we build our solutions. And there are other excellent examples in the industry as well. But we've really started from a first principles approach to look at where information is flowing. There's a lot of opportunity when you bring new solutions in. If you're not careful, you can create entire new islands of PII, personal information, within your organization. And each one of those needs to be properly protected, maintained, and dealt with under the privacy legislation that your business is operating under. And if you can avoid creating those new islands, you can avoid getting into additional compliance burden around privacy. That's one of the things that we've always worked hard at, is as we integrate systems, we leave the private information in those original systems and work really hard to build bridges between the systems that allow them to interoperate, but don't create new islands of PII where we leave biometric templates in the pockets of our users on their mobile phones. We leave access credentials in the access control systems, and our own solutions are built with a security principle and a privacy principle that says that we simply don't gather that information. We find ways to build the bridges without duplicating the private information. And I think that really hits at the heart of the privacy question, is understanding, are you, as you integrate systems, are you building bridges, or are you creating new pools of PII as you do that? And to the extent you can minimize doing that and find solutions that avoid that, you can avoid a lot of the privacy hurdles, the security hurdles, and really protect your users' interests well.
Organizations need to look at security from a holistic standpoint. There should not be sharp divisions between digital and physical security measures. Both need to work together to protect valuable data and infrastructure from being exposed. The future of physical security is here. BioConnect brings two-factor mobile authentication to physical spaces, including doors, data centers, network closets, and data rooms. Users simply walk up, tap their access card, complete a step-up authentication on their mobile device, and gain access. The low-cost retrofit solution can be installed in under 30 minutes and works on a smart, rules-based policy to help organizations meet privacy, security, and compliance policies and regulations. Keep your organization and its facilities secure. To learn more, visit bioconnect.com/unified/find-biometrics. And now, back to the podcast. We've already been speaking about the important role that collaboration is playing right now, but I'm wondering, what role do partnerships play in the identity and access landscape as we're looking forward, and how does that collaboration fit into BioConnect's strategy?
I would say we're a collaboration first company. So when I think about it from a strategy point of view, we are on a continued basis always looking for technologies that are here or are emerging, and how to bring them together to bring higher levels of trust around the physical access landscape. And a good example of that is when we were successful in unifying the authentication experience of a digital user and a physical user to be the same user. was really a breakthrough that happened for us. I mean, we've all in the industry have been talking about, physical and logical unification. We've been talking about this for 15 years. And to see a moment in time that actually for us was the genesis of this was through collaboration. An innovation project with one of our customers unearthed this idea of how do we take the multi-factor authenticators that are being used for step-up authentication of digital applications, and how do we allow that same user to use it at a door system without having to replace what's at the door to give higher levels of security. And that, to me, is just a good example of the collaboration that we continuously are doing and continue to look for to be able to bring higher levels of trust to access events, as opposed to, trying to recreate the wheel and do it with some newborn technology versus leveraging what already exists out there.
Absolutely. And Courtney, how do you see collaboration fitting into the future here?
I think as we continue to look at how we can build integrated solutions that remove as much friction as possible from our end users while increasing the security that they receive, there's a lot of opportunity still ahead of us to bring, as Rob says, these physical and digital identities together. As security becomes easier to bring out using the tools that people are already used to consuming, as we can leverage those tools better, take advantage of more passive means of identifying users through behavioral analytics and integration into the sensors that people already have in their spaces and in their phones, we can continue to build strength, to build identity, and to bring unification between the digital and digital places that people do work and their physical presence in those locations as well. And as we continue to seek out collaboration opportunities, we see a lot of good road ahead to really to build that out, to build it out strongly, and to make it really easy for people to consume.
There's quite a lot to be excited about, and I'd like to carry this optimistic note into this final question here. And I'm wondering, what do you see as the biggest opportunities for biometrics and rightful identity in this near future?
Peter, I see the biggest opportunity for biometrics and rightful identity as I look forward. The biggest opportunity, I think, is really to follow the trends that COVID is accelerating right now, and that's movement to the cloud, that's movement to a more mobile workforce. And as those things change, the borders of our businesses change with that. We are seeing our digital infrastructure start to move out to third-party providers. And that shifts how we need to manage identities, how we need to manage our compliance responsibilities over those pieces of infrastructure that are critical to our businesses, and how we need to manage the people who may be remote now, who get access to those technologies, or who may be coming into remote places to service that infrastructure. And we've seen, certainly in the past, a lot of risk around businesses that push digital infrastructure into remote locations, into distributed locations, without thinking about the physical infrastructure implications of that, whether it's theft of storage, which exposes PII out to the world, whether it's the risks associated with distributed networks as they're disrupted, the compliance impacts on businesses can be huge, the operational impact can be huge. And we're seeing really increased demand ourselves, and I think the biometrics industry has a huge role to play in helping businesses adapt to this shifting risk landscape of seeing digital infrastructure move out into cloud providers, into geographic locations that it wasn't in before.
Absolutely. And Rob, I'd love to hear your input on the near future of biometrics and rightful identity.
Yeah, I think actually Courtney just said that really well. And I think what I'm about to say doesn't feel anywhere as compelling, but in the context of biometrics specifically, we've got to get the biometric control in the hands of the user, period. The user needs to be able to control enrollment, use of, and make the decision as to when they wish to suspend its use. That is the next step we must conquer as a community and as an industry. And I think we're well on the way. I think the industry is well on its way. I think BioConnect's well on its way. And in fact, it was just most recently that as the emerging of our own, we've got our own mobile biometric based solution that it provides the binding to an application. And we've actually, for the first time, been able to put the whole complete user journey in the hands of the user, even though the enterprise has control of the trust associated with the biometric. And I think that's where we're headed. I really do. I think once the user's in control of the complete life cycle, that's going to be a game changer in terms of all of the applications where one can use biometric information to authenticate their identity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that you're absolutely right. I think that's not too far off. I'm seeing quite a lot, especially from BioConnect, moving in that direction. And it reminds me of previous conversations you and I have had, Rob, about the advent of a identity as a utility. And I think that it's going to be very empowering for everybody. So just to wrap things up, I'm wondering, how can listeners get in touch with you and BioConnect to learn more about what we discussed today?
Well, you can reach us. You can reach Courtney or I. I'll just give you our personal emails. So rdouglas@bioconnect.com or cgibson@bioconnect.com if you think we directly can help you. And more broadly, bioconnect.com, our website, is a very rich site that really is there to provide insights about what we're capable of and the problems that we solve and the solutions they're capable. And we'd be delighted to engage with any companies that wish to partner with us. We've got a very good partner ecosystem, and we're always looking to engage with others around the world. And for end customers, I think you're welcome to explore our technologies and interact with us as you need to.
Rob, Courtney, it's always great to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining me today on ID Talk. I had a great time.
I did too. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Peter.
And so concludes my interview with BioConnect Chairman and CEO Rob Douglas and BioConnect CTO and CISO Courtney Gibson. To learn more about the topics discussed on this episode, please visit bioconnect.com. And for more on digital transformation in the enterprise, stay posted to FindBiometrics. I would like to thank Rob and Courtney once again for joining me on today's episode. Our podcast theme music is by Logomrad. I have been your host, Peter Counter. Thank you for listening to the ID Talk podcast.